When I caught my girlfriend lying, she shouted, "You're paranoid!" I threw her phone on the table. Messages lit up like fireworks. Her silence was louder than my rage. "My name's Ryan, 28, male. And I swear my hands are still shaking while I type this because last night felt like watching a house fire start in my living room, except the house was my relationship. I've been with Lily, 27, female, for almost 3 years. She's smart, funny, the kind of person who makes strangers feel like old friends within minutes. I used to love that about her, that warmth, that sparkle. But lately, that same sparkle started to feel like headlights from a car swerving into my lane. Too bright, too distracting, a little dangerous. The first red flags were small, phone face down on the table, smiles at texts she didn't explain, nights out with coworkers where she'd come home at 2 a.m. with that mix of perfume and bar smoke clinging to her. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I trusted her. That word, paranoid, would end up slicing me open later. I'm not the snooping type. Never checked her phone in 3 years, but my gut wouldn't shut up. She'd go cold sometimes, like I was just a roommate she barely tolerated. Then flip back into playful girlfriend mode the next day, baking cookies or grabbing my face for a kiss while I was half asleep. It felt like whiplash. Last night was the breaking point. We were in the kitchen, arguing over nothing and everything. She'd just come back from working late. I asked why her boss kept texting her past midnight. She froze, then snapped, "You're paranoid." That word hit harder than I thought it would. Like she'd reached into my chest and slammed the door on every doubt I'd been trying to shove down. Paranoid, crazy, imagining things. I felt myself tilt over the edge. I grabbed her phone off the counter and slammed it on the table. It lit up instantly. Not with work emails, not with calendar alerts. Messages, so many messages, flooded in. Notifications stacked on top of each other. Names I didn't recognize. Hearts and winks flashing like fireworks. Her silence after that was louder than my rage. She didn't yell, didn't defend herself. She just stared, lips trembling, eyes darting between me and the glowing screen like a kid caught shoplifting. And that was somehow worse than if she'd screamed. I don't even remember what I shouted at her. Something about lies, about how I wasn't paranoid. I was just blind. She didn't move, didn't try to grab the phone back, just sat there with her hands in her lap, letting the truth flicker across the screen between us. The air in that room felt like broken glass. The thing about Lily is she wasn't always like this, or maybe she was and I was too blinded by that stupid honeymoon phase glow to see it. We met at a friend's birthday party. She was across the room in this thrifted denim jacket covered in pins, bands, quotes, random stuff like a smiley face with fangs. I remember thinking, that girl looks like she's got stories to tell. When she laughed, heads turned. And somehow, she ended up next to me at the kitchen counter talking about how store-bought cake icing tastes like chemicals. I told her I secretly liked it. She grinned like we'd just discovered a private joke, and that was it. I was hooked. The first year was magic. Trips to the coast, late-night drives with bad playlists, her crawling across the couch to fall asleep with her head on my chest. She made me feel seen in a way no one had before. Like all my rough edges, the ones other girls had wanted to sand down, were the very things she wanted to trace with her fingers. But little cracks started showing if I look back honestly, like how she always had to have the final word. Or how she'd tell stories about her exes, but with this lingering fondness that made me shift in my seat. When I'd say it bothered me, she'd roll her eyes. "You're not jealous, are you?" I'd laugh it off, but deep down it left splinters. Then came the phone thing. At first, she'd leave it on the couch, unlocked, half the screen visible. No secrets. But slowly, it became glued to her hand. Screen dimmed. Notifications silenced. She'd carry it into the bathroom to shower, claiming she was just playing music. I told myself that's normal in relationships these days, but I knew something was off. We also started fighting more. Not the screaming kind, but the kind where every conversation felt like walking through fog. She'd twist things. If I said I felt left out when she bailed on plans, suddenly I was too needy. If I asked why she was being distant, she'd laugh and say I was overthinking. Still, I held on. I kept telling myself this was just stress, work, the natural ebb and flow of relationships. And when it was good, it was still good. She'd surprise me with takeout from my favorite taco place. She'd steal my hoodies, then pretend she hadn't when I found them in her car. She had this way of throwing her arms around my neck when she was tipsy and whispering, "You're my person." That's what made last night burn so much. Because in that moment, watching her phone light up, I realized how much of my life had been built on her words and how hollow they suddenly felt. I didn't even know who half those names were. Some had hearts next to them, some had kiss emojis. One had a photo of her grinning in what looked like our living room. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might actually throw up. Lily stayed frozen, like if she didn't move, maybe it wasn't happening. And me? I felt something I hadn't expected. Not just anger, humiliation. Like I'd been the last idiot in the room to get the joke. And I couldn't stop thinking, when did she start lying to me? And how many times had I been gaslit into silence just to protect her secrets? Don't forget to subscribe. I don't know how long I stood there staring at that glowing screen, my pulse hammering so hard I could hear it in my ears. Seconds? Minutes? Felt like hours. Lily didn't say a word, just sat stiff in her chair, shoulders shaking slightly, eyes fixed anywhere but me. Finally, I broke the silence. My voice came out low, almost calm, which scared me more than if I'd screamed. "Who are they?" Her jaw clenched. She shook her head like a stubborn kid refusing vegetables. "You're paranoid," she whispered again, softer this time. Like if she repeated it enough, it would erase the evidence right in front of us. I picked up her phone and shoved it closer to her. "Paranoid? You call this paranoia?" Another message pinged across the screen. Some guy named Ethan dropping a heart and, "Last night was insane." The words burned. That's when she snapped. She lunged forward, snatched the phone, and in the same motion hurled it against the wall. It cracked with a sound that made my stomach twist. Plastic and glass shattering, pieces skittering across the hardwood. Her breathing was ragged, her face blotchy red. "There, happy now?" she shouted. "Nothing to look at anymore. God, you ruin everything with your crazy jealousy." I was stunned. She'd just destroyed the very proof of her lies, like a magician trying to burn the evidence of a trick gone wrong. For a second, I couldn't even speak. Then something ugly in me took over. I walked to the wall, picked up the mangled phone, and dropped it onto the table between us. The spider-webbed glass still lit up faintly, notifications bleeding through the cracks. More names, more emojis, more betrayal. Her silence stretched again, but this time it wasn't guilt. It was rage brewing under her skin. She shoved the chair back so violently it toppled. "You don't get it," she screamed. "You never get it. You smother me with your suspicions and then you wonder why I talk to other people?" That line cut deep, like she was trying to spin this as my fault. I felt my chest cave in, like all the air had been ripped out of the room. "So it's my fault you're screwing around?" I asked, voice shaking now. Not from fear, but from holding back the kind of fury that makes men do stupid, irreversible things. Instead of answering, she stormed past me into the living room. A lamp toppled over. The picture frame of us at the beach last summer crashed to the ground, glass splintering into tiny, sharp pieces. Her destruction felt deliberate, like every broken thing was a message. "Look what you made me do." I stood in the kitchen doorway, watching the person I thought I knew unravel in front of me. And for the first time, a thought I'd been avoiding slammed into me like a freight train. This isn't just about cheating. This is who Lily really is when she doesn't get her way. The night didn't calm down after that. If anything, it got worse. Lily stormed around the apartment like a tornado, yanking open drawers, shoving clothes into a duffel bag, muttering curses under her breath. Every slam of a cabinet made me flinch. I just stood there, numb, watching her unravel. My voice felt trapped somewhere between my chest and throat. "You're insane," she spat suddenly, spinning toward me. Her mascara was smeared, her hair sticking to her damp face. "No wonder I talk to other people. You're impossible to love. Do you know that? Impossible." I should have walked away right then. Instead, I let her words dig into me, and something in me cracked. "Then why the hell did you stay, Lily?" My voice came out raw, ripped straight from my gut. "If I'm impossible, why the cozy nights in? Why the plans for next year? Why whisper I'm your person when you're out screwing Ethan or whoever the hell he is?" She froze just for a second, her lips parting like I'd physically struck her. Then she grabbed her phone charger from the counter and whipped it at the wall. It snapped in two. "You don't get to talk to me like that," she screamed. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound I didn't recognize as mine. Like what? Like the truth? That's when she did it. She dialed someone. Hands shaking, voice cracking into a sob so loud, I swear the neighbors could hear it. Mom, he's scaring me. I don't know what to do. He's screaming at me. I wasn't screaming. I hadn't raised my voice in minutes. But she knew exactly what she was doing, weaponizing her tears, dragging someone else into the chaos. Within half an hour, her best friend Kelsey showed up. Kelsey, who had always looked at me like I was a temporary inconvenience in Lily's life. She barged through the door without knocking, arms crossed like a cop serving a warrant. What the hell did you do to her? Before I could answer, Lily collapsed dramatically into her arms, sobbing like I'd just put hands on her. He snapped, Kels. He went crazy. He's paranoid. He's breaking things. I looked around at the apartment, at the shattered lamp, the broken phone, the picture frame glass still scattered on the carpet. To anyone walking in, it did look like a war zone. But only because of her. Kelsey's glare bored into me like I was some kind of monster. You should leave, Ryan. Seriously, before this gets worse. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. Lily wasn't just lying to me anymore. She was rewriting the story for everyone else. Casting herself as the fragile victim, me as the unhinged villain. It didn't matter that I had the truth sitting in a cracked phone on the table. What mattered was the performance, and Lily knew how to perform better than anyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Didn't think I'd be writing this so soon, but holy hell, things went sideways faster than I could have imagined. First off, thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. Reading through the replies was weird. Some of you were straight up hilarious. Dude, just yeet her phone into a blender and send her the smoothie. Others were brutal. Ryan, she's been gone emotionally for months. You just caught up. And honestly, some of you hit nerves I didn't even realize I had. Anyway, here's where we're at. After Lily called Kelsey, her best friend, and staged her little "he's scaring me" performance, I left. I had to. The look Kelsey gave me, it was like she was ready to call the cops on the spot. And what was I supposed to do? Argue with Lily mid-breakdown while her friend filmed me for TikTok? No thanks. I grabbed my jacket and keys and just walked. Didn't even take my wallet. I spent half the night driving aimlessly until I ended up in the Walmart parking lot at 3 a.m., sitting in the dark like some character in a sad indie film. Since then, things have only gotten messier. She's been blowing up my phone with texts ranging from, "I'm sorry, please come home," to "You ruined us, I hope you rot." Whiplash Central. I haven't answered a single one. But she's not just stopping at me, she's already told some of our mutual friends that I lost it and smashed her phone in a jealous rage. Which, for the record, she threw it herself. But guess who everyone believes? The crying girl, not the guy trying to explain broken glass. One of the top comments on my last post said, "She's going to burn down your reputation before you can even tell your side." And damn if that isn't exactly what she's doing. Here's the part I haven't told anyone yet. Before she smashed the phone, I saw enough. Not just Ethan. There were at least 3 different guys sending her messages. Some of them, let's just say not PG. Pictures, videos, stuff I can't scrub out of my head no matter how much I want to. And what's worse? One of the usernames I recognized. A guy from her office. So yeah, I've got proof. Not much, but enough screenshots from before she lost her mind with the wall throw. I didn't want to use them at first. I thought, what's the point? But after reading some of the advice here, after realizing she's actively trying to rewrite history and turn me into the abuser, let's just say I'm reconsidering. Some of y'all said I should just walk away. Others said I should scorch earth. Right now, I'm leaning toward the second option, because if she wants to play games, I've got the receipts. And I'm done being the quiet one in the corner while she paints me as paranoid. Time to flip the script. After that night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that cracked phone lighting up with hearts and winks, her face twisted in fake tears, Kelsey glaring at me like I was some kind of monster. By the next morning, I wasn't angry, I was cold. And that scared me more than the rage. Anger burns out, but cold sticks. I went back to the apartment when I knew she'd be at work. Sure enough, her car was gone. The place still looked like a crime scene. Glass on the floor, furniture knocked sideways. Her duffel bag was half packed on the couch, a chaotic mix of clothes and makeup spilling out. But what caught my eye was the laptop sitting open on the kitchen table. I don't know if she was too frantic to close it or if she thought I wouldn't dare. But I did. And what I found confirmed everything. Group chats, DMs, even her work email where she'd been scheduling late meetings that lined up perfectly with the nights she came home reeking of perfume and excuses. Ethan wasn't the only one. There was Matt, Jordan, and yeah, the coworker I recognized from before. Messages that weren't just flirty, they were full-on intimate. One thread had her sending a selfie from our bed. My bed. Something in me snapped, but not in the screaming, throwing way she wanted. No, this was different, methodical, precise. I spent 2 hours pulling every receipt I could. Screenshots, downloads, even forwarding some of the worst ones to a secure email I'd set up years ago for work contracts. By the time I was done, I had a dossier on her double life. And that's when the idea hit me. Lily wanted to rewrite history, play the victim, smear me to our friends. Fine, let her try, because I was about to detonate the truth in a way she couldn't bury under crocodile tears. That Friday, she had a work event, some kind of mixer her office put together. I knew because she'd bragged about it for weeks, about how her boss trusted her to coordinate the whole thing. And I also knew half her friend group would be there too, the same people she'd been poisoning against me. So I showed up, not loud, not dramatic, just walked in like I belonged. She was across the room in a red dress, laughing too hard at something, holding a drink like the star of her own show. When she saw me, her smile faltered, but only for a second. She turned away, pretending I wasn't there. Perfect. I waited until the crowd settled, until the speeches were winding down. Then I walked straight to the projector laptop, plugged in a flash drive, and hit play. The room went dead silent. Message threads lit up the wall. Her name, their names, timestamps, hearts, winks, photos. Not just vague hints, the full truth. Every lie she'd told me, every late meeting, every secret rendezvous. It was all right there, 20 feet wide in front of her coworkers, her friends, her boss, gasps, whispers. Someone actually muttered, "Holy shit." Lily dropped her glass. It shattered across the floor, champagne pooling around her heels. Her face went from white to blotchy red in seconds. She rushed forward, screaming, clawing at the laptop. "Stop, you can't! This isn't—" But it was too late. Everyone had seen it. I unplugged the drive, slid it into my pocket, and walked out without another word. Her silence that first night had been loud, but the silence in that room, the way people looked at her like they didn't recognize her anymore, that was deafening. And for the first time in weeks, I felt lighter. I thought that would be the end of it. Drop the truth, walk away, let the fallout eat her alive. But Lily wasn't the type to take her loss quietly. Within hours, my phone was blowing up. Calls, texts, voicemails, her voice shifting from sobbing apologies to venomous threats. "You don't understand what you've done. You ruined my life, Ryan. I'll make sure everyone knows who you really are." I ignored them, blocked her number. That was my first mistake. The next morning, I found my car keyed from headlight to taillight. Deep gouges, like someone had carved rage into the paint with both hands. On the windshield, tucked under the wiper, was a sticky note. "Hope the truth keeps you warm, L." It didn't stop there. A few days later, I showed up to work and my boss pulled me aside. He looked uncomfortable, like he'd just been handed a dead rat. "Ryan, someone sent us an email. About you. Said you've got anger issues, that you've been violent at home." I knew immediately, Lily. Luckily, my boss has known me for years and he wasn't buying it. But still, my career was fair game to her now. She wasn't just trying to save her image. She was trying to salt the earth under my feet. That night, she showed up at my apartment, not knocking, banging, fist against the door like she was trying to break it down. I didn't answer, but I could hear her outside, alternating between screaming and crying, begging for me to let her in, then threatening to make me regret ever meeting her. My neighbor texted me later. "Dude, I almost called the cops. She was out there for 45 minutes. The next morning, I found the picture frame from our hallway. Our beach trip photo, smashed on my welcome mat. She must have had a copy and destroyed it there just to get in my head." Her spiral only got darker. She started dragging people into it. Friends, family, anyone who'd listen. Kelsey texted me a novel-length rant about how I'd humiliated a good woman and weaponized private messages. I didn't bother replying. Another mutual friend DM'd me to say Lily had been telling everyone I'd been controlling for years, that I'd isolated her from her support system. She was trying to erase who she really was by rewriting who I had been. And the scary part? Some people were buying it. But here's the thing Lily didn't realize. Once people see the mask slip, it's almost impossible to unsee it. The whispers weren't just about me anymore. They were about her. Word got back to me that her boss had suspended her pending review after that little work event stunt. And Ethan, Jordan, Matt, the guys she'd been juggling, one by one they ghosted. No defense, no rescue, just silence. Still, she wasn't done with me. The breaking point came a week later when I walked out of my apartment one morning and found her sitting on the hood of my ruined car, eyes bloodshot, hair a mess, clutching a half-empty bottle of wine at 9 in the morning. When she saw me, she smiled. Not a happy smile, a sharp, broken thing. "You think you won?" she slurred. "You didn't win. You just lit yourself on fire too." I didn't answer. Just turned and walked back inside, locking the door behind me. But my hands were shaking, because I knew then, this wasn't just going to fizzle out. Lily wasn't going to fade quietly into the background. She was going to drag this war out until one of us had nothing left. Update 2. Well, y'all called it. I thought after I exposed Lily at her work event, she'd crawl into whatever hole cheaters crawl into when the mask comes off. I thought that was the end. Nope. Some of you warned me she'd go nuclear before she went quiet, and holy hell, you weren't exaggerating. First off, thank you for the support. Some of the DMs I got were brutal but necessary. One guy wrote, "Bro, she's not your girlfriend anymore, she's your stalker. Treat it like that." Another said, "Change your locks yesterday. This isn't a breakup, it's a containment breach." Honestly, I laughed when I first read those, but now, I don't think they were jokes. Here's the fallout so far. My car looks like it got into a knife fight and lost. Keyed from top to bottom. Found a sticky note on the windshield signed L. Real subtle. Someone, guess who, emailed my boss claiming I've got violent tendencies. Luckily, my boss knows me well enough not to buy it, but still, imagine opening your inbox and finding a character assassination with your name on it. She's been showing up at my apartment. Not knocking, pounding. Neighbors texted me they almost called the cops last time. One night, she stayed outside for nearly an hour, alternating between crying and screaming about how I'd ruined her life. And the creepiest? I found the photo from our beach trip, smashed, left on my doormat like some twisted calling card. It's like she's trying to haunt me. The worst part is how she's spinning it with our mutuals. Some people believe her version, that I was controlling, jealous, paranoid. Others, they're starting to piece it together. I've had a couple friends quietly message me saying they're sorry they ever doubted me after seeing how unhinged she's acting. So at least there's that. But the scariest moment happened this week. I walked outside and she was sitting on my car, 9 in the morning, hair wild, eyes bloodshot, wine bottle in her hand like it was a coffee thermos. She looked right at me and smiled, this broken, sharp smile, and said, "You think you won? You didn't win. You just lit yourself on fire too." I didn't answer, just went back inside. But my hands were shaking for hours after. So yeah, that's where I'm at. She's unraveling and I don't know how far she'll go. Some of you keep saying, document everything, call the cops. Believe me, I'm documenting. Screenshots, photos, timestamps, the works. But calling the cops feels final. Like once I do, there's no going back, no chance she just fizzles out. I wanted revenge. I got it. But now I'm wondering if I woke something up in her that won't stop until she's burned every bridge, including mine. Some of you said revenge is best served cold. Right now, it feels like it's still sizzling, and I'm the one standing too close to the pan. After that morning on the car, I knew I was on borrowed time. Lily wasn't going to just vanish. She'd already tried to wreck my reputation, my friendships, my car. The only thing left was me. 2 nights later, it happened. I was sitting on my couch, half watching some mindless show, when I heard glass shatter in the parking lot below. At first, I thought it was just some drunk neighbor. Then came the pounding on my door. Hard, frantic, like fists fueled by pure rage. "Ryan, open the damn door!" It was her. My stomach dropped. I didn't move. I just sat frozen, every muscle locked. She pounded again, louder this time, then screamed, "You can't ignore me forever. You ruined everything. You owe me. Then came another crash, this time right outside my window. I ran to the balcony and my heart nearly stopped. Lily was in the parking lot throwing empty wine bottles at my car. One had already spiderwebbed the windshield. Another hit the hood with a sickening thud. Neighbors started coming out shouting at her to stop. One guy pulled out his phone and began filming. That only sent her further over the edge. She spun on him, screaming that he was an accomplice and threatening to smash his phone too. I should have called the cops right then, but I hesitated. Some part of me still didn't want to be that guy, the one who makes it official. But when she came back to my door screaming so hard her voice cracked, I knew it was either me or her. I dialed. The cops showed up fast, faster than I expected. By the time they pulled into the lot, Lily was sitting cross-legged on the pavement, surrounded by broken glass, crying and laughing at the same time. When the officers approached, she jumped up and pointed at my apartment. "He did this! He's been tormenting me! He won't leave me alone!" My chest tightened. It was the same script she'd used on Kelsey, on our friends, on anyone who'd listen. But this time, the evidence was all around her. My destroyed car, the wine bottles, the neighbors standing with phones in their hands. One of the officers came to my door and asked me to step outside. I did, hands shaking but steady enough to show them the screenshots, the sticky note, the photos of my keyed car. Meanwhile, Lily's voice carried across the lot, shrill and desperate. "He's paranoid! He's violent! He made me do this!" For once, nobody seemed to believe her. They cuffed her gently, but she fought like a wildcat, screaming, thrashing, spitting curses at me as they led her away. "You think this is over, Ryan?" she shrieked, her voice echoing through the lot. "You think you're safe?" And then she was gone. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful, it was heavy. Neighbors stared at me like I'd just been outed as the star of some soap opera they hadn't asked to watch. My car sat ruined under the streetlight, glass glinting like sharp little reminders of how far things had fallen. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt this gnawing dread in my gut. Because even in cuffs, even with proof stacked against her, I knew Lily wasn't done. Not really. People like her didn't fade out quietly. They scorched earth until nothing was left, and I had to decide if I was ready to end this once and for all. The night Lily was arrested should have been the end. But if this whole nightmare taught me anything, it's that endings aren't clean. She spent a night in holding before her mom bailed her out. I know because I got all the calls, blocked numbers, slurred voicemails, her voice unraveling into sobs and rage. One ended with, "You'll regret this. Everyone regrets leaving me." Hearing it made my blood run cold. But this time I didn't just sit on my hands. I filed for a restraining order the next morning. Every screenshot, every photo, every broken thing. I handed it all over. My lawyer called it airtight. For once, the story wasn't hers to tell anymore. It was mine, backed by evidence. The order went through fast. When the sheriff served her, she tried one last stunt. She posted some cryptic rant on Instagram about betrayal, about how paranoia kills love, and people only see what you show them. The comments weren't what she wanted, though. Instead of sympathy, she got questions. People asking about the projector, about Ethan, about the bottles and the car. The mask was off, and no amount of filters could put it back on. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding. Insurance covered most of the damage to my car. Work stood by me after her smear campaign failed. A couple mutual friends reached out quietly, saying they finally saw who she really was. It wasn't much, but it felt like oxygen after weeks of choking. And then came the moment that sealed it for me. I was cleaning the apartment, still finding shards of glass from that night, when I pulled out the beach trip photo, the one she'd smashed on my doorstep. I'd kept it, maybe out of stubbornness, maybe out of pain. The frame was ruined, the picture bent, but as I stared at it, I realized something. That smile in the photo, hers and mine, it was never real. Not the way I thought it was. It was a performance, a snapshot of me believing in someone who was already planning her next lie. So I did what I should have done weeks ago. I burned it. Took it outside, lit a match, and watched it curl into ash. And for the first time in months, I felt free. I don't know what happens to Lily now. Court dates, maybe probation, maybe nothing at all. But I know this, she can't touch me anymore. Not my car, not my job, not my mind. And me? I'm not paranoid. I never was. I was just with someone who thrived on making me doubt myself. She tried to drown me in her chaos, but in the end, she was the one left gasping. And I'm walking away, finally, without looking back.